Hello there. Welcome to our webinar on selling in a post-pandemic world, focusing today on the product presentation. So we've covered previously the sales process. We've talked about technology in general. What we're going to cover today is the product presentation itself, so that you understand showing what you've got to the customer through a virtual reality is going to be of utmost importance. So how do you do that? What's the process? What are the things you need to understand to make that possible? So why are we doing these webinars? As we've talked about in the past, we're doing them because we want to offer insights and perspectives that help you improve. In essence, we want to help you. We're not charging you. These are free with no expectations. We only want to give you good insights, give you processes that you can use. I will give you contact information at the end so that if you do want to contact any of us, you will be able to reach out to us, ask us specific questions, get more help from us than what we're able to offer in the next hour. So in the next 45 minutes to an hour, we are going to learn how to navigate the walkaround in that virtual environment, which is different. There are things you have to do the same, things that you have to do differently. And so we're going to talk about that topic today. So the panel, I am Mark Banfield. I'm a 30-year sales expert. Joining me will be Mark Shinneberry. He's been in the field. He's younger than me. He's only been around for about 25 years. Mike, unfortunately, came down sick at the last minute. Our leasing and sales expert will not be with us today. Ron, however, Ron Catranio, 30-year sales expert, motivational speaker, wonderful guy. When he talks, make sure you listen to what he has to say. We have Alex Thayer, automotive dealer, automotive expert for over 20 years. And finally, Xavier Zalazar, GM&A Senior District Manager. And he's the youngin' of the bunch. He's going to keep us all straight on all this technology. So that is the panel, and that's what we're going to talk about and have fun with today. So the product presentation, how does this work? So you've got to remember, again, as I've said every time, selling stays selling. That basic process remains. You have to focus on the customer's wants and needs. To do that, you have to find out what they are. You have to have that conversation. Safety is always going to be the number one point of interest for buyers. They're going to be interested about other things, how it looks, how it handles, the luxury. But safety consistently is the number one point of interest for buyers. So even through this virtual system, you have to cover the safety items. How you react with the customer is going to be critical, and it's going to really be the basic process that's going to determine whether or not you're going to succeed. So you have to ask yourself, are you ready? Do you even know where to start to do this? So I've given you a self-analysis. If you turn in your workbook, and if you, by the way, if you haven't loaded your workbook, downloaded it yet, there is a link just beside the screen that you're watching us on that says download here, where you can download the workbook. If you turn to page 2 in the workbook, you actually see a self-assessment on this process. So we want to rate you, we want you to rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 5, with 1 being the bottom end and 5 being you're the best in the world on this process. So as I go through these, think about it and honestly rate yourself. You're not going to share this score with anyone, but this will give you an idea of how you stand. So the first point is, how do you rate yourself on the use of video communication in general? We do this with friends and family, but we can also do this in business. So, but just overall, how do you rate yourself with video communication? How do you rate yourself on uncovering the wants and needs of the customer? Do you think you do a good job? Do you think you need help in figuring out to find out what those drivers, what that why is for the customer? Are you consistently following the same walk-around procedure every time, or do you just kind of wing it when you go out to demonstrate the product? Are you starting at the same point, ending at the same point? using the same process. We all know if you get using a process, you can start to focus on things other than worrying about what comes next. Do you understand the several different video apps? There are a lot of different ways to communicate through this. We're going to talk about what some of those apps are. We're not here to endorse any, to recommend any. We just want to make you understand the width and the availability of these, and then you can find one that works best for you. How are you with recording and sending video presentations? It's one thing to do it live, and that's critical, but it's another thing, and there are going to be times when you're going to need to record yourself doing this. You may want to post it on your website. You may need to send those presentations, those videos to your customers. How do you rate yourself on your ability in doing that? How do you rate yourself on being able to maintain a good relationship through this video digital medium? It's different. Paying attention to the customer's feedback, keeping that dialogue going so it doesn't just become a straight lecture with you doing all the talking, because if that's happening, then you really can't get a read on where the customer is, which ties directly to the last point. How well are you at recognizing customer hot buttons virtually? So the customers will tell you what they're interested in if you give them a chance, if you pay attention. How good are you? How well do you think you are at doing that in a virtual world? So that's the analysis. Rate yourself on 1 to 5 on those 8 points. And then as you do that, when you're done, total yourself. There's a place to write down your total score. So I'll give you a second to do that. And as you're coming up with the score, you can see the scoring sheet, the scoring scale at the bottom. And if you come in at under a 25 or under, then you're actually being honest with yourself, and you're really going to get a lot out of what we have to share with you today. The tools, the processes are really going to come in handy for you. If you're in that middle range, 26 to 34, you've been keeping up, you're trying, but you recognize you still have room for improvement. You still can actually make yourself better, and that's wonderful. We love that you're here, that you're willing to learn. Finally, if you're above 35, you've kept up with it. You consider yourself, if not an expert, on your way to being an expert. But again, we're very happy that you're here, because at the same time, you understand that there's always room for improvement. There's always more that you can learn. So wherever you come in on that score, we have something for you today, and we're going to be able to help you out in the process. So the product presentation, we're going to talk about video. We're going to talk about process. We're going to talk about the connection. But to do that, the first thing I want to do is bring up my panel. So you can see the group here. We have Mark with the cars behind him, colorful cars. Beside me, and again, I don't know if the screen lays out the same for everyone, but on the other side of me, from Mark, we have Alex with all the nice pictures behind him there. Down below me, with the appreciation, gratitude, kindness picture behind him is Ron, and then beside Ron, we have Xavier from JMNA with his nice JMNA logo behind him there. So welcome, guys. Thank you. So let's start talking about this. How do you, let me get my cheat sheet up here. So let's talk about the first thing. If you're going to do a successful presentation, which ultimately leads to a successful sale, the first thing you need to do is find out what the customer wants, what they need. And they are separate things, but they do drive the customer to choosing that. So I'm going to turn to Ron first. So Ron, what do you got to do to find out a customer's wants and needs?
Well, first of all, be yourself. When you get involved in this video presentation, be natural. Don't try to flub it or fake it. Just be you. And what you want to do is just look at this as the customer's now sitting in front of you. Only you've got them sitting on a TV screen versus in the chair next to you. And you want to visit with them. You want to do a bit of a discovery phase. I want to find out what they're driving now. First of all, what drove you? What is aiding you in making a decision to purchase a new car? What gave you that impression? Does your car have extended miles? Are you just looking to change? Are you looking to upgrade? Are you looking to downsize? What are you looking to do? So I want to visit with you and find out exactly what you're trying to accomplish, because we're talking today for a very valid reason. And that valid reason is what you're driving, you're either no longer happy with, or you just want to upgrade it, or you want to downsize it. So I want to find out, what do you enjoy most about the car you're driving now? What features, what do you have in that car that you very much want in your new car or truck, for that matter? What are the things that you absolutely are going to replace or going to upgrade? Are you happy with the power options? Are you happy with the engine and performance? Are you happy with the comfort? Are you happy with the design and the manufacturer? Are you happy with your warranty? These are all things that are going to come into question. When we talk about safety, safety is a big contributing factor today. When you do a walk-around presentation, and I'll be happy to do one of those for you, is show you the safety features into this car, starting under the hood, walking around the car and ending inside the car, and giving you a snapshot of everything that's there to keep your family safe and secure. Now, keep in mind, some of these things may be vitally important. Some of them may have no relevance. Maybe you don't really care about that. But the advanced design and technology today is that the cars have never been better built, never been better manufactured, have the best warranties. They're stylish, they're comfortable, they're fuel efficient, they require very little care and maintenance. So other than looking to upgrade to maybe you've got a 4-door and you want to get a 2-door. You're approaching that mid-life crisis and you feel you need something a little more sporty. Maybe you're a young family and the wife is expecting and you're going to need more room. So you need a sedan. So we just visit and find out what are you trying to accomplish? So you say to me, I'm looking for a sedan. Fuel economy is important to me. I don't need a high-performance engine. I'd like leather interior. I'd like power options and features, windows, locks, cruise tilt. All that stuff is important to me. I'd like to have stylish wheels. I think color is important, but do you like light, medium, or dark colors? Do you prefer a car that's a two-tone versus a solid color? What are you looking for on that dimension? So the bottom line is, how do we build you your perfect automobile? What you're going to graduate to next? What are the features? What are the things you're going to use most in the car? What do you use right now? And what we'll do is we will design and build a car specifically to suit your needs. And this all can be done through this little video conference. What we'll do is when we pencil it down to what it is that you want, then we're going to go out and find that car. And I'm going to make a video specific to you on that car. I'll present it to you. You can ask any questions you want. If that's the car that you think would be your next car, I'll be happy to put a tag on that car and bring it out to your house and show it to you personally. So again, discovery is important, finding out what's important to you, what's important to your family. Is anyone else going to be involved in the decision to purchase a new car or lease, for that matter? Or are you the only decision maker? Will the wife be making some of those decisions? So we want to make sure that we have the buyer and the decision maker available so we can finalize this, maximize your time and efficiency, and get you exactly what you want. That's my mission, is to satisfy your needs, wants, and desires, and do it with as much efficiency as I possibly can. Does that make sense to you, Bill?
Yeah, good. So when we were talking before, as we were preparing for this, talking amongst ourselves, Mark, you had a couple of thoughts on this step of the process.
Well, Ron just nailed it, right? He just nailed it, exactly what has to happen. And when, in thinking about this, the only thing that's changed, well, a couple of things have changed, right? But the big thing that's changed is the timing, right? Because prior to the whole crisis and COVID-19, the whole goal was if a young salesperson went to their desk and talked to the manager said, get him in. But, get him in. Get him in. They wanted him in the showroom. They wanted him in front of them right now. We're not doing anything until they're in the store. That's the historical way of doing things, right? That's the way we were all taught. That's the way we all learned. And the way we conducted business and made a lot of money for a lot of years. What's changed is now we're conducting business like this, right? We're using technology just like this. Right now we're using the Zoom technology, and the dealers can do the same thing to communicate with their customers. You have to have these meetings. You have to do your discovery. This is optimal. If you can do it face-to-face through a video, it's optimal. However, we all know that every consumer is not going to feel comfortable with the technology or comfortable getting in front of a camera. So some of them are going to require us to do this same thing via text. They're going to require us to do it via telephone call, or maybe, what's that other one? Snapchat. Or what's that one you told me about the other day, Mark? Marco Polo, which I shouldn't forget, right? My name's in it. But there's so much technology out there, we have to be familiar with all of it. And again, optimally, if we can engage the customer and get them to agree to do a video meeting like this, or even a FaceTime, because you can do FaceTime, but they have to have an iPhone to do that, right? But heck, I've got my 80-year-old mother doing FaceTime because I can't visit her. So think about that, the technology that we can do. If we can do this discovery, and then what are we going to do after we do a discovery, right? Historically, what do we do? Where do we go?
We show value.
Walkaround presentation.
Right?
Yeah, all right.
Right?
So,
We show the car.
Xavier, you just popped up. What are your initial thoughts on this?
Well, exactly what Mark said. At that point, you just start showing value, right? And it's something that we have a skill in doing. Salespeople, business manager, we show the value of things, right? When the value exceeds the cost, we make profit. That's the rule. But how can we show value, right? It's kind of what we're doing right now. Use the mediums that you have. We have several of them out there. You have your Zooms, like Mark mentioned, so many of them. We have Join.me. We have Google Messaging. There's so many platforms out there. So you shouldn't be scared about which means am I going to use. It's more, how can I educate myself and apply my current skills to the current market? And how can I reach that market with the current medium? Now, something that needs to change in our minds is that approach that the customer might be afraid to approach us. That's just wrong. We need to understand that lots of these customers have been at home for a long time. Many of them were probably trying to buy a car as well. They're just afraid who to contact, who to talk to, who am I going to give my money to? This is a problem that we've had forever. Now more than ever, we need to go out there, put ourselves out there. That mentality that we are the car dealer and we have a beautiful building and the customer needs to come to see it. It's going to come eventually. Don't get me wrong. The motors are going to come back. Those beautiful waiting rooms are going to be there for a reason. But we need to re-engage our customer in coming back to our showrooms. Come in. Let me show you. And the only way to do it is through this media. Post videos, share images, do walkarounds. There's so many ways that you can show value by using today's tools. But education is key, guys. You need to educate yourselves on how to do it.
Very nice.
I've always said,
Alex.
Buildings don't sell cars, people sell cars, and that's really showing itself right now. Nobody's got the nice showroom to get in front of the customer with, so you've got to use these types of mediums right here to really be able to get in front of your customer and sell your customer and show your personality as you normally would. Be yourself, like Ron said earlier.
And something to add to that, and I apologize. The amount of education that we require is not that much. the reason what I'm saying is that whenever you are going to adapt a tool, and after you train, I promise you, if you use the tool after 5 or 6 times, you will be fine, and you're gonna create habits. Remember, that's what we need to create ourselves. It's a new normal. It's a new habit of doing things. But you're going to close. You're going to engage somebody. The process has not changed. People are people. Yeah. We need to talk. Yeah, we need to hug each other once in a blue moon. That's got to wait, though. But for now, we can still conduct business by using what we have.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
And you have to discover it. Yeah.
All right. So any other comments before I actually show a example of a video walk around by one of the best salespeople I've run into? You're supposed to laugh at that, Alex.
Hey, it's facts are facts.
There we go.
Right. So what I want to do now is I'm going to bring up a video, a sample of what you can do for a video with a customer. So let's watch this.
Mark, how's it going? Thanks for taking a minute. The off-lease Traverse that we were talking about, let me switch my camera around here and show you. This is the black on black leather that we talked about. I just got it in, so we're short-staffed. As you know, we're short-staffed, so I'll get it detailed, but the rims are pretty good. It's got really good tire tread depth. All the rims are in good shape with the tires. It's got, on the remote, you hit that twice. It's got the auto hatch, which is a great feature nowadays. You got to have that. And then double tap twice, and it'll close it. Miles, here's the interior. Like I said, it needs to get detailed. We just got it in, but it's in really good shape. The back seats fold flat. You were asking about that, so it's a nice flat surface. Also plenty of room for your dog. It does have about 5,000 miles. It's the company executive, so 5,400 miles on it.
Nice.
We're talking about. So it'll hook in with your Apple CarPlay. It even has Android, Bluetooth. Your audio's cool. Oh, here's a great feature too. It's got a hidden cubby hole. Oh, it's got to be running. This is one of my favorites. So we just keep your glasses. If you're parked in town somewhere, keep your glasses, stuff in there. Keep it safe and hidden out of view. There it comes closed. I love that feature. That thing's
wow.
Sweet. Actually, this one's a 2-wheel drive.
How can I drive it?
I'll drop it off to you at 3:30. Does that work for you still?
Sure, that'll work.
All right, perfect.
I ended up delivering later that day.
What a customer. He was exciting, wasn't it? But nice job, Alex. Nice job. So again, we wanted to give you an example of how easy it is to take your phone and to go do a walk around. Okay, to show, and he zoomed in on the tire. He zoomed in on the mileage. He showed some features. And that wasn't a long one. We didn't want to do a lengthy, in-depth walk around, but we wanted to show you the ability and the potential of what could happen on a walk around. So I'll open it up to the group. Who would like to talk about what we just saw?
The walkarounds are the walkarounds are easy to get set up. It's simple. The big thing is just like getting somebody to go on a test drive, asking them to get to a test drive. You don't ask somebody for a test drive. Hey, I'm going to bring the car around and we'll take it for a ride. This is getting a video walk around is much the same way. It's really, hey, let's log into Zoom or Teams or whatever your app is, and I'm just going to show you this car real quick before I drop it off to you. And it's an easy segue in to get in front of the customer to help build that face-to-face time.
I got to tell you that as I've gotten older, and I'm almost as old as dirt right now, but I did realize that as I've gotten older, I've gotten lazier. So to have this kind of an opportunity where you bring the car to me, that's great because I don't want to come there. I want you to bring it to me. I'll drive it around the block. We'll make our deal and we'll go on from there. So as people get older, I remember years ago down here in South Florida, people would say, I'm going to go out and shop you. No, you're not. You're going to go home and you're going to think about it. And that's when we think they go home and actually go like this. Well, what should I do? They're not going to think about it. You know, if you're going to think about it, you like it. Let's go ahead and make the deal now. Let's make this happen now. And me being lazy, when the laziness factor comes in and you're doing all this work for me, I'm very appreciative.
Yeah. Can I bring something up? And something that I love about the video was less than 2 minutes. However, something that Alex did that was very, very good. He touched in hot points. Mind you, I wasn't part of the initial interview when you did the fact finding, right, Alex? But it was obvious to see what was important to Mark as a customer. And I think that's pretty much what you said, Ron, earlier, Mark. We need to make sure that we find out what are the hot buttons. Exactly. So that whenever we need to show value, whether you're a finance manager, whether you're a salesperson, whether you're a desk manager who's about to show value on a payment, make sure that you have some type of image, text, video that's going to add value before you disclose any type of payment. But good job, Alex and Mark. I think that was very well put with what we're trying to do.
I think this new basis is going to make some salespeople super successful. I think you're going to find people today busting out of that 8 and 10 car syndrome and doing 12, 15, 18 cars a month in and month out.
I would like to share something. In the state of New York, there is a dealership, Paragon Honda, big dealership. They actually delivered a lot of vehicles virtually. And to your point, the PVR is almost 1,500. Keep in mind that they do not sell gap or excess wear and tear. So the reason why I'm giving that example, to your point, Ron, yes, there are people already who are taking advantage of this landscape and making something out of it, not taking a back seat and waiting. On the other hand, they're saying, you know what, let's run with it. Let's see what happens. And they're finding success.
Yeah. Mark, you have thoughts?
So I wanted to go back to what Ron said about people being lazy, or wanting the service. I just had something happen. My sister was looking to get her oil changed, and she works in a hospital. She works on the front lines, and she didn't really have time to go to a dealership or any place to get her oil changed. So I called a friend of mine who owns a Chrysler dealer. She has a Jeep, and he sent 2 guys out. They picked up her truck, took it in, and changed the oil, and then delivered it back to her house later that afternoon. And she was very appreciative. She called me up and she said, do you think they'll do this all the time going forward? And I told her, I said, I'm sure they will. You just have to ask. But it's I thought of that right away when you talked about that, Ron, because not that I'm saying she's lazy or anything, but listen, people want service. They'll pay for service.
Well, people want instant gratification today.
Yeah.
Instant coffee, instant gratification. They want things done now, quickly. And when you lollygag around the deal, people get very antsy. They don't become appreciative. They become resentful. Move to the action. One of the keys about selling today is expedition. Be expeditious.
Right. So I first of all, Ron, you get bonus points for using the phrase lollygag, which I haven't heard in a while. So that's good. But secondly, your point is exactly right. Convenience. It's all about convenience. And the more we can make things convenient for the customers and make it easy for them to buy, easy there for them to decide, not have to take time out of their day to get to the store, to haggle, if we can make life better for our customers, they're going to buy. And they will pay for that convenience itself. And so they'll recognize that. Okay, so any final comments on the Walkaround before I move on to the next related topic?
No, go for it.
Okay, so the next topic is, let's talk about the technology itself. So to do a video walk around, you obviously have to have technology. And when I say technology, you've got the hardware, the phone or the tablet or the computer, and then you've got the software that runs it, the app, right? We don't say software anymore. We say apps. Everything's an app. All right, so I'm going to turn to Xavier here.
Sure.
And Xavier, what are the options, or how many options are there for someone to use?
Well, options, endless. And the reason why I'm saying endless, they're still coming out. So, matter of fact, when we started, we are talking a lot about Zoom. And it was a talk. The media kind of did it for them, right? But right after Zoom, we started seeing all these other competitors just coming out, join that. I mean, they have been there. However, they're taking advantage of what's going on, and they're coming out. Now, that's where we should take advantage of that situation. And most of these programs have either free trials, okay? So try to use them before you adopt them. Make sure that it's the best application for your business. Just because an application it's good, and let's say somebody else tells you it's good for them, that doesn't mean it might be good for you. So the advice that we give all of our dealers is that do the research. There are several options out there for you, but please make sure that if you have an IT guy, rely on them right now. Learn from them, because it's part of your business now. It's part of how you're going to be communicating. And at the same time, something that we're telling everyone, if you already have a solution to a problem and it's working, good. Maybe invest a little more on it. Maybe get the guys trained on it. Okay, now you have a solution that you're not so sure about. Don't be doubtful. This is the time for action. Start picking up the phone and start finding out if it's working out for your team. How much are you paying? Start doing comparisons. If we're going to start investing in our businesses, let's make sure it's the right tool for your team and, of course, your business.
So speaking of investment, Xavier, probably 5, 6, 7 years ago, all of the major manufacturers, GM, Ford, Chrysler, Toyota, they were all starting to develop and push the ability for salespeople to walk the lot with a tablet, to pull up the inventory, to price it, to figure financing, to do all that stuff. And the manufacturers, I know Ford specific, because I was dealing with Ford at that time, actually almost required dealerships to buy a set of iPads to run this software. And guess what happened to those iPads? Okay, so one of two things happened to them, right? They either disappeared, or they're still sitting in the bottom of the sales manager's bottom desk drawer, completely drained of use, because none of the salespeople would use them, right? So my question, that leads me to today, right? So if they came out with that today, it would be embraced amazingly well. You can do that now. So my question is, does an organization need to heavily invest in hardware and software to do this type of video process?
The reason why I'm saying it depends is it depends where do you want to go, right? So meaning, where is your business at right now, and where do you want to go in the next 90 days? Don't rush. Don't make a sudden investment just because somebody told you this is the next shiny thing either, okay? So meaning, be smart about your moves, okay? That's the reason why I said we have a lot of tools. But to your point, and I'm glad you mentioned that, Mark, because that's one of the biggest conversations I have. You're going to have dealers that are like, great, I want it all. How much is it? But we haven't finished the conversation, right? Let me tell you how we can apply it. So before you get excited, do the homework. This investment might go for you for the next 10 years, okay? You have time, meaning the urgency right now is not to go crazy. It's, hey, let's slow down to go fast. So I think that should be the approach to your question, Mark. Okay. Let's dig in what we have.
If they want to, yeah, they can go out and buy iPad Pros, those big things, and give them to everyone. But on the other end of the spectrum, all of their salespeople have smartphones right now. And you can do this on smartphones. You can do this. You don't need to. So you're right. There's a whole range. and caution, because again, Zoom is right now probably the number one video conferencing technology software out there. 2 years from now, 3 years from now, God knows 5 years from now, Zoom may be something that people laugh at and say, my grandparents used it. You know, no one would use something like that today. Why invest, right? Because technology and this stuff changes so fast. So that's a great caution.
The only thing that I would advise, though, however, is to your point, if you're going to be doing e-contracting, that's a whole different conversation, right? In contracting, because we're going to be dealing with legal documents, unfortunately, red tape is going to indicate that you're going to have to invest in whatever requirements the government wants. Right. That's the only difference. Other than that, if you can have your customers to schedule a safe delivery in your showroom and you can get wet signatures, that can be done as well. But you can use most of the technology to cut a lot of that process and eliminate contact. That's pretty much the message I would try to.
Yeah, and the other side of that coin, from what I was talking about, yes, salespeople do all have the technology to do it pretty much in their hands. However, should the dealership capture those communications? Right?
Absolutely.
What is the process to do that? So again, there are considerations. And those considerations expand the range of what they need to consider doing. Mark, Alex, Ron, do you guys have anything you want to pipe in on this?
No, I'm good.
I was just going to say that the cost of entry is very minimal to do this, right? To do this.
Correct.
I mean, I think when we were talking yesterday, Xavier, I brought up, Ron's holding up his phone, but even the
you got that right here.
Even the this conferencing technology, some of you may already be paying for conferencing technology. Because we were talking yesterday that Google, for instance, if you subscribe to their Google Google Suite, that's what it is.
Right. Google Suite.
Their conferencing technology is included in that package, and you're already paying for it. And a lot of people don't even realize it because they never used it before. So that, just look around, see what you already have, what you're already paying for before you get your checkbook out and just start writing.
And another thing, Mark, to add into that, if you're paying for something, can you find out what capabilities of that software or app that you're paying for has? Because a lot of guys are also trying to keep you in their accounts. So ask, hey, are you guys providing this? I promise you, they might tell you not now, but 2 weeks from now, they might have it out.
Right. Alex, you look like you're saying something.
One of the things that changes is during the fact-finding process is asking your customer up front, hey, what kind of video do you use? Are you used to FaceTime or Zoom or, finding out what they use? And as a salesperson, if you're good at using, I have 3 apps on my phone that I use for conferences. You really have to know which ones your customer uses so you're proficient at many of them. And that's really the driver. And it steps back to the beginning of fact-finding and just simply asking the question. It's not a hard question, but it's hard to ask.
Right. And because, again, you don't want to force them to use something they're not familiar with. I had a case earlier today where a friend was, we were meeting, and there was a meeting that he was supposed to run, and he turned it over to someone else. And that person was not used to running meetings. He walked him through it. He told him how to do it. But when it came time for the meeting, guess what? He couldn't figure out how to do it. Yeah. So
you got to know how to do it. If
had to get in. And so we don't want customers to feel to feel that way, right? To say, hey, we're going to do a Zoom, and then the customer struggles to come into the Zoom. That's counterproductive. We're probably going to lose that deal, right? Because customers do not want to, they don't want to be embarrassed. They don't want to, right? They've got this image that they want to do. So, So kind of tied to back to the customer, where we're talking about finding out customer wants and needs, interacting with the customer. How do you keep the interaction level going with the customer through these mediums? And Ron, I'll start with you on this one.
You've got to be up. You've got to be happy. You've got to be enthusiastic. You've got to be memorable. And if you do that, people are just going to like you. When they like you, they're not going to slight you in any way. They're looking to accomplish something. You're trying to help them accomplish. So all you got to do is be likable, be knowledgeable, be enthusiastic, and be appreciative. If you look at the 4 words behind me, gratitude, kindness, appreciation, and care. If you do those 4 things, I personally guarantee success.
Okay. Mark, you look like you were going to say something?
No, I was just agreeing with Ron. I like everything he said. I mean, he's spot on.
Right. Yeah. I'm just
as he usually is.
My job as ringleader is to make sure get everyone's comments here. So yeah. So is it easy though to lose contact with the customer? So if you're in the middle of a walk around, right, and you're showing the car, is it easy to lose touch with them during this and for it to become a lecture almost?
I want to go back to when I said at the beginning, it has to do with that fact finding. Like I said, Alex's presentation was less than 2 minutes. And I was very impressed with the fact that he hit at least 3 or 4 hot buttons. Like, the fact that he opens, that he lays flat for I think the dog, you said. The thread on the tires. I mean, you don't know. Maybe that was important for Mark. Hey, man, it's an SUV. How are the tires? So all those little things, maybe Mark already knows a lot about the car. But just Alex touched on those points that are the most important to Mark because he cannot see it. And that's what we need to focus. What is important? What do we need to show to the customer at the time of that engagement? And I think that's going to make the transaction a lot better, which is going to tie to everything that Ron and Mark and Alex pretty much said earlier.
Hey, Mark, how do I put something up on the screen?
It says green. It says share screen.
Yeah, okay.
Click on that, and then you'll have, if you already have whatever you want to put up open, and it'll give you the option to grab that. Once you hit share screen, you click on that.
All right. Well, it's open on my screen now, but how do I get to show it to you?
So when you click on share screen, there should be another screen that opens up.
I see that.
And then
it's not there.
Okay. So while you figure that out, Ron, I'm going to go ahead and talk on. So let's talk about pre-recorded videos for the purpose of either posting them on Facebook, posting them on websites, or sending them to the customer.
Hey, Mark, I'm glad you said that because you just triggered a thought. I was going to say before I got taken off by listening to all of the great information being dispersed here by the rest of the panel.
Yes.
What Alex did, that was a personalized walk around. He was talking to me because we had the conversation beforehand that he did the fact finding and the discovery and finding out what was important for me. There's 2 different kinds of walk arounds, right? And that's what you're talking about now. There's pre-recorded walk arounds that it's totally focused on product and the product demonstration. And I am a firm believer that we need to be able to do both. You need to have the pre-recorded walkarounds, especially if you're a new franchise dealer and you have specific models. You need to have them prepared already and prepared to share. It's maybe stored online. One of the biggest one I think is YouTube or what's the other one? Not Venmo. Vimeo, or whatever it is. There's a few different platforms that you can use, right? But you need to have both. And I'm sorry to cut you off. I think that's where you're going with this, but I just want
No, that's fine because that's getting to my point. So if we're going to pre-record videos, we need to have them stored somewhere. We have to be able to send them to the customer then, right?
Yeah.
So how do we send them to the customer? And I'm going to offer up, first of all, because I think it's a fairly simple answer. We send it to the customer how the customer wants to get it. If they want to get it in their email, do they want to get it in the form of a text? Do they want to go to YouTube? How do they want to get the video? We need to have it available to them. Now, storing it on one of these online storage sites, Mark, whether it's YouTube or the other one that I can't think of either right now, begins with a V, you can send a link, right? You just send the link in whatever method they click it, open up. If it's short like Alex says, sending it through text or directly is nice and easy. But we've got to be able to do that. So we need to do that. And so the other benefit of a recorded video is that you can practice it. You can get it perfect, right? It can be more elaborate. But then the beauty of the shorter videos, the personalized videos, is they are just that, personalized. You found out what the hot buttons are. You found out what the wants and needs are, and you tie it directly to the customer. So, Mark, I think you're absolutely right. There is a place for both, and I think there's a need for both.
And there's platforms out there. There's companies out there, multiple companies, that provide really good platforms for that, both recording, storage, and delivery, where you can put you can put your company logo, like surrounding the whole like a frame around the video. They'll actually track how much of the video the customer opens, how much they watch. Really good technology that's out there on the market today. Some of it's free. Right. There's different levels, right, of it, but try them out. Check them out. To what Xavier was saying earlier, check out these different platforms, not just the meeting platforms, but these video platforms that work very, very well.
Right. So
Ron, it looks like Ron found his what he wanted to share.
Well, we'll get to him in a second. I got a follow-up question to you guys.
Okay, JC.
Talking about recorded videos, is it okay for a pre-recorded video to be not of that specific salesperson? In other words, having a generic actor doing this canned walk around.
Why not?
I think it's great that the dealership has them up there. There's a place that the content's there, but it can't replace the salesperson trying to get the personal one-on-one with the customer. It's important to have that resource available because it is beneficial, but it can't be a replacement.
Absolutely.
So you're saying that the still that 2-minute personalized one is still necessary?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
So, Mr. Catranio, your background changed. What are you showing us here in purple, blue, yellow, and partial green because your shoulder's hiding it?
Well, this is the 4 stages of what we're talking about. How do I get it to go on the screen by itself?
Don't worry about it. Just describe what's behind you right now. When you start off while we're doing this, we are unconsciously incompetent. That means we don't know. We don't know. We're in a learning process. We're in a learning curve right now. So we don't know. We're experimenting. What was it, a week ago? We couldn't get anything to work. So we basically were unconsciously incompetent. No,
we couldn't fix it.
Consciously competent.
Then we go to conscious incompetent. And that's where we know we don't know. We know we're screwing up. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to fix it and learn. Then you go to the unconscious competence. That's when you're doing things unconsciously and it's successful until you reach the 4th stage. Let me get out of the way. I got to go the other way. Okay. And you go, conscious competence. I know I'm good at this. And all I'm going to do is, and you're going to go through these 4 levels. So when we start out, we are unconsciously incompetent. We suck at it. We're going to grow through these channels and grow through learning until we reach that 4th level, which is unconscious competence. We don't have to use any thought. We just act and it works. So you're going to go through 1, 2, and 3, and you want to arrive at 4, which is unconscious competence. When we get there, which will be there soon, we're going to be outstanding, and so will they. Once they find the medium that works for them, all they got to do, like I'm playing with this right now, you guys are guiding me. I'm basically, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I'm asking you. But little by little, I learned something tonight I didn't know, how to change my background. So I've already gotten better. Could you imagine in another 2 weeks? It's going to be scary.
No, I cannot, Ron. I cannot. But that's very good. But that's very true. That is the learning process in a nutshell. And the thing that I always like to talk about with people is when you become that unconscious competence, the next step is to grow and learn more, where you start over again and you move into unconscious incompetence again as you learn more and you realize there was more I didn't even know I didn't know, and you continue to grow through that cycle.
You know, when I do my training seminars, and I haven't done one in quite a while, people would say to me, how do you in my book, you can open up a page, read me the first sentence, and I'll finish the page for you, because I've got it memorized. And people would say to me, how could you do that? I've done it so many times repetitively. You know, it's like when we did the presentation for the numbers, you know, with cash is king. You guys know how to do cash is king? All these things, you say it. When this guy told me, and originally I said, how the hell am I going to remember that? But bottom line, it's become very natural. And once it becomes very natural, it's part of your DNA. It's part of your chemistry.
Absolutely.
And you become very, very good at it. And
Right.
then people would say this to me all the time.
So the wrap up to this, my wrap up question before we hit this out of the park for the final home run, is through the video, through this digital virtual environment where we're only talking relating to the customer through a visual or through an email or through a text, how do you know you got the buy-in? How do you know you've sold the customer?
They'll tell you.
How do they tell you?
That appointment for dropping that car off in their driveway.
We usually ask a question.
What kind of questions could they ask that indicate a buy-in?
Well, how do I get to drive it?
Okay. What else?
What kind of financing options are available?
Yeah, I saw a meme today actually that had a salesperson, you know, all happy and Google-eyed. It says, you know, the salesperson when the customer asks about payment options, because right, if they're asking about how they can pay for it, they have in their mind bought it. Right?
You know, it's Joe Verdi's got the 45 yeses in 45 minutes. I think that's him. You have to get the customer to say yes 45 times in 45 minutes. Small, minor commitments throughout a long process. Right. That doesn't change. And you just now it's just you have to get those small, minor commitments. Yes, check mark through video, text messaging. And the final one, yeah, I want to drive that. That looks right. Can you drop it off for me in my driveway?
That's called an ascending close.
So,
Yep.
Yeah.
Xavier, did you have something you wanted to add there?
Absolutely. I'm just adding what the team is saying. I mean,
you know, Mark, I have a suggestion. I'm
go
sorry,
ahead.
David. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
You know, I think if we did webinars almost like we just did, and we said, listen into these 5 experts having a conversation amongst themselves, expressing thoughts, ideas, techniques, and innovations that you'll be able to grab and adapt and use in your own situation. 5 experts just having an informal conversation. I think this has validity.
Yeah. That's why we're doing it, Ron. That's why we're doing it. So to wrap up, to go back to my question, are you guys telling me that you get a customer buy-in through this medium the same way you do it if you were face-to-face?
Absolutely.
The same type of things.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
So some of that unconscious incompetence type thing, the fear that a lot of people have with this medium is they think it's so different and it operates so differently. In a lot of ways, does it really? Or is it a lot the same?
Salespeople are still afraid of getting a no answer. And the sale doesn't start until the customer says no. You've got to close a customer an average of 5 times to get to that final yes. And like Alex just said, Joe Verdi says get 45 yes questions. I call it an ascending close. And you keep asking questions that get you closer, closer, and closer until it's just natural. The close just naturally happens.
The way I see this is like if I'm afraid of heights. Again, I'm not gonna make this. And one time I actually jumped off a plane. And I have to tell you, before I did it, I couldn't sleep. It was horrible. But once it was done, I was like, okay, it's done. And it felt great. And I did it twice after that. So I guess it's that fear of just doing it for most of us. Okay. Just do it. I see it every day with my business managers. And Ron, you couldn't have hit it much better in the nail. To your point, the guys who are doing it, the guys who are just sitting down and getting it done and tripping and making mistakes, they're doing a lot better now. They're more confident. We're having more developments via Zoom. They're actually finding more tricks than I have in my bag. And that's actually very, very much good to see.
You were afraid of heights?
I was, very much.
I drove by the new Jim Moran buildings the other day.
Woo. Yes,
and they told me that your office was going to be on the roof in the third floor.
Not at all. I promise.
Alex, what do you got to say in wrapping up this discussion before I go into the close?
Yeah, I think it's been a great conversation. I think one last thought is to make sure your videos, keep them concise and impactful. You can't ramble on a video just like you can't ramble on a phone message, right? When you're leaving a customer message. Short, concise, and impactful.
Okay. Ron, final comments from you?
Yeah, I don't drink, but I'm thinking I'm going to start.
Okay. All right. Mark, what do you got for me?
I'm going to add to what Alex just said. Keep your videos short, 30 seconds or less.
Yep.
Okay. Xavier, one last comment?
I would like to share something with the team, if you don't mind.
Okay.
So I'm going to share my screen.
This scares me, but okay.
No, actually not. I want to share this with everyone because, you see, I like this. Netflix did not kill Blockbuster, ridiculous late fee steep. Uber did not kill the taxi business. Limited access and fair control did. Apple did not kill the music industry. Being forced to buy full-length albums did. Amazon did not kill other retailers. Poor customer service and experience did. Airbnb isn't killing the hotel industry. Limited availability and pricing options are. Bottom line, technology by itself is not the disruptor. Not being customer-centric is the biggest threat of any business, which is pretty much what we have spoken today. And I just really want to drive that home for everyone.
Yeah.
That is very, very true. I saw that somebody had posted that meme the other day, and I thought about that as well. Thanks for sharing that.
Okay, guys. Well, I'm going to go back to the PowerPoint, the slideshow right now to finish this up. So hold on.
You can go back to it. I think we just came upon something.
Okay. So early on, we had you do a self-analysis. We had you rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 5 for these 8 different points. So now that we've talked about this for a while, look at this rating again on page 2 of the workbook. Would you change? Do you think you're better equipped to deal with this? If nothing else, have you gotten over some of the fear that you may have had in trying to communicate with your customers through this video? So if you do have any comments or questions, I forgot to say this early on. I truly apologize for this. But we didn't get to comments or questions. I will promise you this, though. Any comments, any questions that you have put in the chat box, we will get back to you on. I will either call, I'll email you. I'll get you an answer for what your questions were. So I apologize for not doing that earlier. So early on, I promised that we would learn how to navigate the walkaround in a virtual environment. Please understand, though, that what we've talked about is just the surface. We covered a lot of things in a short period of time in a high way. We do want to help you with the best ways to adapt and to overcome those challenges. If you want more information, please contact us. Let us know. What we do is we do training, we do consultation, we do development. We combine, we do it online, we do it individualized, we do it face-to-face, we do it through video. And we actually work for a transformational experience for you. Please join us for future webinars. Watch for the announcements for them. We cover all aspects of selling and how technology and how this pandemic is actually changing the world, changing what's going on. I watched a video by a speaker last week. One of the points that he made was you have to look for what is coming in the future by the clues that you see today. And one of the clues that I see today is people are getting more and more comfortable doing this type of thing. Whether they're communicating on their phone through video, whether they're doing it online, they are much more comfortable with it. They recognize the convenience of it, and they're going to demand that as we go forward. So where that takes us in the future, I don't know, but I know that there's a future that it's there, and we have to do that. So again, I am Mark Banfield. I've been in this business for a long time, and I've coached 100,000 salespeople. Alex is an automotive industry enthusiast. He is part of a dealership-owned family. Been that way since '97, and he currently operates Michigan Dealer Services. Mark started his career in '85 building Cadillacs, and he's worked his way up from the sales floor to being director of dealer development over 26 stores, and then going on to work nationally in the industry. Mike Mersman, I mentioned him earlier. He came down ill at the last minute. He is our leasing expert, but he's coached people in all aspects of the sales process. Ron, one of the nation's premier sales management motivational trainers, and a fun guy, as you can tell. Ron likes to have a good time. I love Ron. In that time, he's always looking for ways to improve himself and improve others. And he's very, very hands-on. Finally, Xavier, one of my new friends, senior district manager with JM&A. He looks young, but he's actually got a lot of wisdom in him with 16 years of experience working all over the United States and Canada. So that was our learned panel. Here is our contact information. You can contact all of us through that phone number, and you can get a hold of us on LinkedIn. Track us down on LinkedIn. We would love for you to reach out to us, love for you to contact us. But please understand this when I tell you, we have only scratched the surface today. We have only scratched the surface in any of our webinars. If you truly see a need, we can help you. Reach out to us. Let's talk about how we can help you, how we can take you and your team to the next step. No obligation to at least call us and talk to us. We'd love to hear from you. But if we can work something out, if we can work together going into the future, we would love that too. So keep that in mind. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you. We hope you got a lot out of this. Pay attention for our next webinars coming, because we're going to be doing these with regularity. Guys, do you have any last comments before I let you say goodbye?
No.
No?
Thanks.
Thank you very much, folks, and have a great evening.